and a very, very welcome to a very exciting session today. Now, of course, this is a panel discussion, and we'll be having panelists on board that's going to share a lot of cool things with us. Now, before I get involved in that, I want to do a shout out first to a community that I really, really love a lot, and which is exactly why this all started. And I will be doing introductions. I will be saying who I am if you don't know me and the rest of the team. But first and foremost, I want to give a big shout out to everyone that was involved on the community group on Facebook. Actually, it started out as 10,000 users and it grew to 60,000+ users in the last year, where there's teachers and Microsoft people and community people, members, MVPs, helping and supporting each other. I couldn't list everyone, of course I can't. So I'm so sorry if I had to leave your name off the list, okay? But really, really from my heart, like a big shout out. I think you're incredible and thank you so much for helping out, because yes, last year was an interesting thing. But that brings me to even more exciting things, okay? And that brings me to this incredible group of people, the unsung heroes of 2020, I'd say. And that, of course, is the students, the teachers, the EDU technical administrators running around in the background, right? So now we might be from the same country, but how incredible to have technology where we can hang out, even though we've never met each other and we're all scattered all over South Africa. And here we are all on the same call. So I would love to introduce everyone. We're going to start with Tryphine, so I'd love Tryphine to introduce herself. From there, I'm going to absolutely move on to Neil and then to Quinton. So please tell us a little bit about yourself. And it doesn't all have to be work and school related. You know, what is that one thing that someone didn't know about you? So a very, very quick intro from everyone and over to Tryphine.
I'm Tryphine Nota. I'm based in George, a beautiful town surrounded by the ocean, mountains and forests, in the very scenic Garden Route region of South Africa. I'm currently a grade 11 student at Glenwood House College and I'm majoring in the sciences and consumer studies. I hope to be a hematologist in the future, and my hobbies include baking, reading, self-teaching myself the violin and writing poetry.
Baking?
Yeah.
I don't even know people who can bake. That's incredible, Tryphine. Thank you so much for that and welcome to this panel. Neil, over to you.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Neil Treurnicht. I am a teacher here at Glenwood House. I'm responsible for teaching grade 5, grade 6, grade 7 mathematics and science. Even though I'm qualified to teach high school, I took the opportunity and just ran with it and teaching the intermediate and middle school. I'm also from George in the Western Cape, the beautiful part of South Africa. As some of you all know, Cape Town, one of the best places you can be in, and the Western Cape. And yes, technology has been with me since a very young age. I've been exposed to technology at a very young age, and I think it has benefited me in my teaching journey as well. So yeah, that's me. Thank you very much.
That's incredible, Neil. From my side, thank you so much for joining us today. I'm going to be handing over to Quinton today. Now, Quinton and I'm both more in the same industry. I think, you know, we sometimes run around in the backgrounds and make some crazy stuff happen, but he's as important for me to have on this call today. Not that anyone's more important than anyone else, but Quinton, I'd love to hand over to you for you to just give us a bit of a feedback and an intro to yourself.
Awesome, thanks Tracy. Yeah, so my name's Quinton Mulder. I'm in what you would term the concrete jungle of South Africa. I'm based in Sandton, Johannesburg. Currently, I am the Operations and Service Delivery Manager for EdTech, and that ensures that all our systems within our schools are actually running smoothly, and we ensure that our user experience is actually up to scratch. What you might not know about me is that I'm an avid gardener and I absolutely love cooking. My wife and I at least have about 3 fights every week of whose kitchen it is. So that's me.
Now, that's definitely an interesting one, Quinton, because I mean, I'm in IT as well, but I definitely don't cook, okay? It's not gonna, I mean, my oven is used as a place to store extra Tupperware, I mean, that's exactly, I don't cook at all, but I also don't do gardening, okay? So, and I also don't play the violin, so I feel very inadequate on this call, I think. But those are the things that makes us human, right? It's what makes us more than just the job that we do or the course that you're running, etc. So, such an exciting thing. I just want to add as well. So let's do an intro to the Trace, okay? Also known as Cupcake in the industry. So if you do know me, Cupcake or Crazy Pants, long story. But my name is Tracy and I'm also from South Africa. I'm not going to call it the concrete jungle because I love staying in Joburg and Pretoria. You know, we've also got our little mountains. They're just smaller than the big mountains. But I do love staying up here. I was also born in Cape Town, went to school in George, believe it or not. So we're actually closer than we ever thought that we were, right? So very exciting for me to be here today. I think truly, and I'm going to put this on camera, is I do think that I'm Microsoft's biggest fan. I'm convinced of it. And challenge accepted. I think I'm a bigger fan of Microsoft than Microsoft is. I'll put that out there. But yes, MVP, I have my own company. I love doing this. And for me, it's about same company vision as what Microsoft has, and it's to empower everyone in the world to achieve more. So excited about that. So excited to be here. And let's get started because I do have a couple of questions that I'd love to ask you. And it really is to get the idea out there of this incredible story that you have to tell, because that's why we are here today. I came across your success story and I so love the idea behind all of this, and that's why we're here today, right? So I'm going to start, and as with everything in life, there's always pros and cons, okay? I mean, we kind of think about last year, there's a lot of things that happened, and there's also good that came out of it. But if I can ask you, Tryphine, from a student perspective, what do you miss the most of old school delivery, you know, and what do you love about virtual school delivery? Because there is pros and cons to it. So what do you think about that, Tryphine?
I miss the facial expressions, quirks and habits of people around me, and social gestures and routines like assemblies, lunch breaks, and school events. I guess that feeling of community. Third term last year really showed me that although I'm focused and mostly self-motivated, a small fraction of my self-motivation does come from the fact that teachers are present and frequently check homework. I loved virtual school delivery as it promoted and supported self-study. Resources like PowerPoints, videos, you know, that in the past were only available in the lesson, the teacher used them, were now available for our perusal whenever we wanted. This helped a lot when it was time to revise for exams. And the fact that the classes were now being recorded was another advantage, as I could go back and listen to the classes for examination revisions, for notes I had missed, or when I was experiencing load shedding, a problem that hindered education in the past. Most of our assignments were now due roughly between 5 p.m. and 11 p.m. electronically through the assignments channel. This gave us more time to perfect our assignments, and of course, no paper was required, which is a plus in the environmental awareness department.
I think that's incredible. And if I can share this with you, Tryphine, as we having the same issue with conferences, I so miss my buddies. I so just want to hug people, and I know it's going to take a long time before you can hug people again, right? But I fully get you when you say that there's a level that you just can't replace on a camera, you know, that there's an energy that we give off as humans, you know, and how we support and help each other. And I really loved the fact that you shared with me, because it's something I never would have thought of, is how you can now access resources again, you know, because we didn't think of that before. Before it was kind of like it's now or never, you know, and now suddenly you have the ability to go back to Nota, to find resources again. So definitely I have to agree with you. You're giving me great insights and help me gain great perspective, because that's definitely not something that I think was a benefit before. And now obviously I do know that is a benefit, obviously. Now Neil, I definitely, if I think everyone's got superhero capes, okay, but as a teacher, as an educator, this transition for teachers must have had a huge impact, as the change from classroom delivery to virtual delivery has its own complexities other than the delivery tool. Okay, we're not talking about the technology yet, we're just talking about the emotional side of it and how things happened. Okay, I would love to know what you think. What would you identify as the most significant, and how did you eventually end up using Microsoft Teams to actually address that? You just have to go off mute, Neil.
Okay, thank you. So thank you very much for the question. I think one of the biggest things for us as teachers was motivation, because typically the biggest challenge for students is after a week or two, they were off the week or two, and they haven't seen them in a few weeks. But after that, it's just as if the online schooling just took a backseat. Life started to happen. They started to sideline the schoolwork. That was one of our biggest challenges, the motivation aspect. And I think this is where things like, or functionalities like Microsoft Education came into play and came into effect for us as teachers, and especially me as a mathematics teacher and a natural science teacher. I could incorporate that, and I can keep learners hungry for more. So there wasn't the thing that I had problems with their motivation, because they knew that there was an exciting new lesson for them every single day. So that helped me quite a lot, incorporating Microsoft Education in my lessons. And then another issue that was really a big headache for us was connectivity issues, because not everyone had the same connectivity capabilities. This leading to some students not being able to connect at a certain time. They miss a lesson. They aren't able to connect to the Wi-Fi for a few days because their internet provider, there's certain issues there. And I think this is where the functionality of the embedded Microsoft Office, like for instance Teams, Microsoft PowerPoint, recording your lessons, I think this where that came in really effectively, and we could use that in order to display our lessons and make it accessible for learners at a late stage. I think that really helped us. Thank you.
I definitely, again, I mean, isn't this incredible how we don't always realize the impact? I mean, I think so many countries in the world wouldn't even think of connectivity. I mean, this is definitely going to come up somewhere in a discussion as well, but we have things like load shedding where the power goes off, you know, and like you rightfully said, is network availability. Everyone doesn't have that from home. I mean, our focus for so many years was ensuring that the schools and environments had great bandwidth. You know, the second layer after that wasn't a priority, and suddenly overnight, I suppose, we had to kind of make that work. And you're right, the ability to record it and make it available for them to kind of have a look at later, I think is incredible. I do think, and again, I'm actually getting more empathy for this than I think I had before, because a person doesn't realize how many things actually impact it. And it's so great for me to be here and share this story with you to help other people have empathy for it as well, and maybe for them to, I don't know, learn some lessons and have hope and know that it possibly could work, if that makes sense. So, so Quinton, you know, from an IT perspective and from a platform perspective, you had to facilitate, I mean, the physical replication of a classroom. So if I take physical replication of a classroom, you had to kind of like allow and help and facilitate and involve with the rest of the team to build a virtual classroom. Okay, so apart from what happens on Neil's side, what would you identify as the biggest obstacles that you had? And I mean, how did you guys eventually overcome this?
Awesome, thanks, Trace. I need to link to what Neil actually said. I think one of the initial problems we had was, you know, the assumption is made that all our teachers have Wi-Fi at home, and everyone's got an internet connection, which we evidently found out later that was not the case. So as a group, we then obviously negotiated with local service providers, and the individual brands then looked at where those shortfalls were and actually supported their teachers in getting online. But I think initially the biggest obstacle, and I actually don't really like that word that much, I'd rather see it as a challenge that we took on, and I'm proud to say that we actually overcame it very well. And that challenge was onboarding our teachers and our parents and our students onto this platform. And we definitely overcame that and beat that challenge by ensuring that we offered a number of professional development sessions. We were very proactive in the sense that we, before COVID hit our shores, actually started with face-to-face training. So many of our schools had already had some form of understanding of the platform and the entire purpose of it. And throughout that, we also focused on what we term our digital leaders. our digital leaders being almost our super users within our schools, the go-to guys, the guys that the teachers and the parents and the students rely on. And we ensured that they were also supported with resources and just everything that we could possibly make available to them to support their colleagues and the parents and the students. And then I must give a big shout out to Microsoft. Those video courses that they had, our connection with Microsoft South Africa, with them supporting and just providing resources, also supported us in ensuring that our parents as well as our students were comfortable with the decision we made to take our online or our teaching online and making use of MS Teams. So that's how we did it.
So wait a minute, I'm going to have to backtrack this slightly, okay? So what you're saying, what you did different was that you didn't just focus on, because you know what most people would do is say, okay, we got to sort Neil out, okay? Neil's got to be able to use Teams, the rest can just follow, okay? We'll send them a link to a video and they must just sort themselves out. So what you're saying is that you guys kind of took a step further and you empowered the teachers to also empower students and also empower parents. Is that kind of like in a nutshell what ended up happening?
Absolutely, because if you think about support, and I always look at the onion layer methodology, we can easily focus on the teacher, but what is it that we really want to do? We want to ensure that our quality of teaching continues, and as EdTech, we pride ourselves on academic excellence, and we ensured that that was the core of what it is that we were doing. And in order to ensure that, we have different stakeholders, and those stakeholders would be our teachers delivering the quality education, but also ensuring that our students and our parents feel comfortable with the platform, number one, we're using, and the way in which we make use of the platform. So really, from our end, we ended up ensuring that we understood our teachers as well as our parents and our students. And that's ultimately what dictated our way of supporting our stakeholders.
I think that's brilliant, and I definitely, it makes me think of that saying, who knows who came up with it, but doing the right thing for the right reasons. You know, I think maybe if we revisit our goals, you know, kind of take a step back from the end goals and say, you know, why are we really doing this? You know, what do we really want to achieve with this? Then you get great results like that. I think that's incredible. Now, and thanks for that, Quinton. I really appreciate it. I'm absolutely going to loop back to the whole training thing. I think that's super interesting. So, Tryphine, I just, again, from a student perspective, I mean, again, the impact, I cannot even imagine it. I mean, when things started changing, we were so used to working in teams already that absolutely nothing changed for me, apart from the fact that I now started having my meetings in my job. Okay, but if you can, from a student, what would you identify as the key components that assisted you in the virtual training as a student?
I think the key components to assist with day-to-day virtual training would have been the screen sharing and whiteboard feature, as it allowed us to view a diagram they were drawing or PowerPoint as they explained, just as we would in a normal class. The chat channel was great for including shy kids in class discussions, and the assignment channel made submitting work really easy. The introduction of the emoticons was a blessed one, as we could now see how the rest of our classmates reacted to a statement we had made. It also compensated for social gestures we were now missing online. The raise your hand emoticon in the meeting was a godsend for me personally, as I always struggled with the thought of interrupting a teacher. So this allowed me to indicate that I had a question without interrupting them. The team's private chat channel also helped many, as shy children were now able to directly ask a teacher a question, whereas in normal class, they'd have to muster up the courage to do so. This opportunity actually brought me closer to my teachers.
Again, I'm blown away by that answer of yours, Tracy. Now, and thank you so much for the response you gave us. I think that's something, again, that a lot of us don't think of, is that suddenly with direct chat, that shy student who was too afraid to stand up in front of the class or too afraid to ask that question because you think like, maybe it's just me not knowing this, they could actually reach out to the teacher and ask them that question without being embarrassed. I think that's brilliant. Thank you so much for your response on that, Tryphine. I really, really appreciate that. I am going to, so this is, and I'm going to keep the focus on you just for a moment, Tryphine, so you can keep yourself unmuted as well. But as I do consider you the experts, okay, on the topic when it comes to using Microsoft Teams, okay, because man, that must have been an interesting journey. What is there that you would love to add to Microsoft Teams, like as a wish list? And don't worry, I mean, maybe, who knows, maybe some of those things are coming soon, I don't know. What are the cool things that you thought of that you think can be added to Microsoft Teams that'll maybe solve a little problem for you, or, I don't know, facilitate with this whole virtual education area? And I'm absolutely going to hand over to Tryphine again, seeing as that I've still got you on the mic.
There is actually nothing that I'd like to add to Microsoft Teams, but I am looking forward to the new feature they are introducing, whereby teachers can see and respond to messages in the meetings chat channel while screen sharing and presenting. I think this will enhance the educator and students' experience on Microsoft Teams, as it does cater for those who cannot use their microphones.
Absolutely lovely. And the interesting thing, thank you so much, Tryphine. The interesting thing is that in the last couple of days, a couple of people asked me for that. Trace, please, when we present, it's like we're flying blind, you know, and we'll see what happens. But I did see some blog posts going around and some announcements made, so I'm very excited for that as well. Anything from your side, Neil, that you could think that like a little thing, I don't know, a small thing, a big thing, what could change your life for you?
Yes, thanks. From a teacher's perspective, as I've spoken to my colleagues, I won't say there's a lot, but there are three things that came out really prominently, and that is the homework, or almost like the due date notification button. Notification, yes, because there are quite a few students. You give them submissions or due dates, and then they don't stick with those due dates. So, and then it almost like bottlenecks for you as a teacher, because you still need to assess all of those worksheets and all of those assignments. And with that comes the assessment or the marking functionality. I think that would be really amazing. Now, I know Teams has in the assessments, you can set up your own rubrics, which I think it's fantastic, but it is not as efficient and effective when it comes to worksheets and tests, to marking those online. So I think there is quite a prominent thing that came up with me and my colleagues. And then another one, for the last one, this is more for the naughtier type of kids, is a student device management function. Like, for instance, these kids are so smart nowadays. Even though when we were still in lockdown, and now in class we do the blended learning, you'll stand in front of the class, and as you just walk by, they swipe up those screens so quickly. So you will be standing in front of the class and you're instructing the class while there's someone is sitting at their screen doing something else. So I think that just monitoring them and what they're doing on their devices, I think those three things will be really amazing for us as teachers and change the whole game. I have to say that Microsoft Teams is absolutely amazing. We love it. We as EdTech, and thanks to Quinton and all the management, way before COVID even started, we were implementing Microsoft Teams. So when COVID started in March, we were ready to run with it. So those are just my things that I wanted to add.
That's incredible. Thank you so much for that, Neil. I really appreciate your response. I think you're going to struggle with the devices, though. So until we don't start buying all the devices, they're going to not let go of those iPads and Android devices. But I do understand the thought process behind it. So I really I appreciate that. Quinton, from your side, and I know that you've got a bit of an extra interesting story for me to tell with how you've been engaging with Microsoft as well. So would there be anything on your side that you think would be like, and I'm really just thinking about, because we don't always think of the features. Remember, I mean, the features that get requested on user voice or through the feature requests, I mean, the platform that you see today is a combination of all the requests that's been put in, okay? It's not just a one-sided thing from Microsoft. So I'd love to just hear from your side. We've only got a couple of minutes left, but I'd love to hear from your side, just if you have any wish list items and just what your experience has been on engaging with Microsoft in your company.
Awesome. I actually would like to link to what Tryphine said as well as what Neil said. And I think the most amazing part of Teams have been that we were able to actually see the results of our online teaching and the quality thereof. I mean, South Africa, within South Africa, our IAB ratings speaks exactly to that. We are top of the country with many of our schools. And that to me just points to the fact that Teams were utilized in a very, very structured manner. And number two, to link to the assignments of what Neil referred to, is I know of many teachers that were very creative, ended up with a laptop to present from, have an iPad over here, have the cell phone there for chats and all of that. And just the way that they then managed to build this around, and how Microsoft allowed us, which I think as EdTech we were blessed to have those conversations with Microsoft colleague or partners from the US, from UK, from Japan, and them actually listening to us and actually understanding where the shortfalls are. And it was amazing how everything that Neil and Truffin alluded to was actually put into action and evolved. And if we look at Teams March last year to the Teams we've got in front of us now, it is incredible how that education space actually has evolved by listening to organizations like us, listening to our teachers. Because let's be honest, who's the people that's going to perfect this platform? It's the teachers, the people on the ground actually using it on a day-to-day basis. And lastly, on the assignment side, I think if Microsoft would be able to allow PDF, Word, whatever document to be actually annotated and marked inside Microsoft Teams, that would make Microsoft the number one, or Microsoft Teams the number one preferred solution throughout the world, because that would make so many teachers' lives just change completely.
Absolutely agree. I'm sorry to interrupt you there, Quinton. I was just looking at the Q&A as well, and I think just also to remind you that, you know, we should never complain about something if we don't give our input. I'm quite strict on things like that. I'm like, you're complaining about what? Show me your feature request, like URL. What did you say? You know, don't complain to me if you don't, like, pitch in. People, become part of the solution. Don't be the problem, you know. So just a reminder to all as well that in the bottom of the apps, there's normally a little question mark or a help button somewhere, and there is a feature request. So if you do log a ticket for a feature request and say, hey, this could be a great thing, you know, do a little mock-up, share the URL with friends and co-workers and things, and hey, what do you think about this? Do you want to vote for it as well? I think that's super important for us. Now, I'm just taking a very quick look at the Q&A. So I'm going to put a question out there, and everyone's welcome to answer. I do suspect it's going to be for Neil, though. But do you think that that there's things that work better than face-to-face teaching, and what were those things? But I think that can be for anyone, actually. Are there things that are actually working better than what face-to-face worked? I mean, I think Tryphine actually answered that. And what were those things? So anyone who wants to step up and have that discussion quickly.
Yes, definitely. I'll take that question. Thank you very much. Yes, and I think Tryphine alluded to it. You've got a lot of kids that's sitting in the classroom. They are way too shy to raise their hands in front of their friends and ask a question. Sir, can you please in this math problem? And when it's face-to-face teaching, they are very shy to ask those questions. But with online, it's very easy with the screen sharing and being able to record a video, telling this learner, explaining to this learner how this is able to work. And from there, they are more free, they are more flexible, they are more used to asking their questions. So I think that was a big plus there. Most of those shy little kids, they came out of their shells and they asked their questions. They will send you a message, even though it's late at night. And we love those type of things. That kids would normally not ask questions. They would ask questions or just send a text and able to help them.
Absolutely love that. Thank you, Neil. We're going to wrap up. Okay, I have one more question I want to put out there, and any one of my panelists can grab this one. Okay, so you can just speak up. It's okay. If we speak over each other, it's human. Okay, it doesn't matter. Funny things happen in online meetings. Okay, who wants to share their funny story? Who's got the best funny story? Who wants to speak up? No one wants to speak up. Truffin, did you want to share your funny story with us?
Yeah, actually. I'm going to be honest and say that I never had an online class at a desk until after first break, unless it was a physics period. So I was laying in bed and during maths, and I fell asleep on call, only to be interrupted by the loudest rap type music ever, rapping the word Sokotoa. And I was so shocked and frightened, and I thought someone had actually hacked the meeting. Only it was my teacher's endeavor to help us remember the 3 trigonometric functions.
That's incredible. Okay, that brings us to time. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you for joining us, and thank you to the superstars from South Africa.
It's a pleasure, everyone. Thank you to you, Tracy.
Thank you, everyone.